Which one did you pick out of the two?
I wish my husband would hug me more.
Okay. For me, because I already know what one of my love languages is. That's the one I wanted Summer to pick because my love language is one of them is touch, right? So that's a clue in, like, that's probably one that you're asking for touch, right? But Summer picked the other one. And my first response was, you're an What? How could that possibly be a thing? And we've joked, like our joke back and forth now is like, put it in an email. 1, 2, 3, go.
There for Hardy Har Har.
Believe it or not.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
The Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana podcast.
All right, so welcome.
Welcome.
You can tell I have something in store
for me.
Yeah, it's only going to expose the real you to the
Okay.
entire world for now, for everybody. And your kids will be able to Google this, and their friends in high school will be like, "Hey, here's your mom's love language." But that's what we're going to do. Going into the magic drawer, and we're pulling out the love languages quiz. Do you have any idea what this is?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it.
Yep.
Okay. So this is by a guy named, if his name's not on here, I'm not going to know. But it's at like the 5lovelanguages.com. We are not affiliate. Actually, maybe we are. Maybe there's a link. And use our link if we get an affiliate link. So we'll make 18 cents for you doing this. And, if 50 million people do that, then, we'll pay for the podcast today. I do the love language quiz differently than it says to do it. So what it says to do is basically you choose between two different options.
Okay.
And we're going to do it that way.
Okay.
And we're going to do this out loud on camera.
Okay.
So, no biggie, you're not going to expose the two of them. I'll do it too, though. I'm going to do it with you.
Okay.
We're both going to answer. We're both going to write it down. And So I guess I'll do a husband's one and you can do a wives one. I thought they were all the same, but I guess there's a husband's one and a wives one.
Oh, okay.
So do you want to do the wives one since you're a wife? Not my wife, but
no, I'm not your wife.
We're not married.
No.
Robin Quivers, Howard Stern, or who's another one that's not like shocking or whatever. She's the co-host, co-host.
Yep.
Or maybe host, co-host. I don't know. Y'all maybe realize I'm the Lone Ranger and you're Tonto.
Oh, there you go.
Everybody liked Tonto way better.
Tonto.
Tonto was Bruce Lee, if you don't know that show. And the story behind that is it's hilarious. If you ever saw did you see that in the 90s it came out? It was like a Bruce Lee movie about Bruce Lee.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
who was the girl that was in one of the movies with Jim Carrey? Lauren Holly.
Yeah.
Lauren Holly played Bruce Lee's wife in this movie. I remember that movie coming out in 1993 because I remember that I saw it at a double feature when I was in college. I was pretty broke, and I had a friend of mine named Steve. I won't tell you Steve's last name in case whatever. But yeah, I did. So if you had to ask me honestly, have you ever stolen anything? I would have to say yes for this. Maybe other things, but. Basically, we would buy one ticket and sneak into a second movie. I was a kid.
I think I've done that before.
Have you? Jennifer, you're...
Maybe.
the podcast is over, everybody. It was nice knowing you. We're going to have to call the cops and turn ourselves in. So anyway, let's not do that then.
Yeah.
So, all right, wives and husbands. So, but here's what we're going to do. Do you have a pen?
No.
There you go. Here's a healthyestateplan.com pen.
There you go.
All right.
Those are nice.
So, when we put the magical envelope up. All right, so normally it makes you choose, but what I want you to do is I want you to pick one.
Okay.
But I also want you to say yes or no. If you're I want to pick them both, then we're going to make a notation to pick them both.
Okay.
Right? And so that's going to be more because one way to grade it will give you an order ranking, but I also think it's insightful to go which are all the ones that actually represent you. So answer each one yes or no. So if there's two options and you want to pick them. So all right. So do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Okay, first one says, I would love to get a funny email from my husband, or I wish my husband would hug me more.
This is the funniest one I'm going to give probably all day.
I think I would say yes to both.
Yes to both. Okay,
Yeah.
so put a yes to both.
Okay.
And then, then on the other side, like pick one. If you have to pick one, then pick one.
Oh, if I had to pick one? Okay, I would say that one.
Okay, so I got to tell you about when Summer took this one. So I did this with Summer. And which one did you pick out of the two?
I wish my husband would hug me more.
Okay. For me, because I already know what one of my love languages is, that's the one I wanted Summer to pick because my love language is one of them is touch, right? So that's a clue in, like, that's probably one that you're asking for touch, right? But Summer picked the other one. And my first response was, you're an What? How could that possibly be a thing? And we've joked like our joke back and forth now is like, put it in an email.
Well, so if I look at this, Daniel does do funny things. He says funny things all the time. I don't always get his humor sometimes. So I put, I wish my husband hugged me more. Now, don't get me wrong. My husband does hug me, so don't think he doesn't. But
that's kind of what Summer's logic was. She's like, well, you hug me all the time. So I would like a funny email. And I was like, what? And it took us like 15 minutes to get through this. I wish we would have done that on the podcast because that was freaking hilarious. All right. So for me, I wish my wife would send me a love note or text for no special reason. Like, I mean, that's fine, but not really. So I would pick I probably wouldn't pick that one, but I would pick yes for this one. Because mine is, I wish my wife would send me a love note or text or email for no special reason. And for me, like, I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm like, what are you doing?
For you, you'd be like, I have something else for you to read.
What?
That's what I feel like you would feel like.
Something else for me? Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for giving me an extra, like, come on.
That's
like, oh, great. How long did that take? And exactly. To me, like, you just added an extra chore for no reason. Like, and the reason why, though, what they're getting at with this question is, am I ruining it by telling people? But now, or should I wait to the end? But it's, they're choosing between, is your love language touch or is your love language words of appreciation?
Okay.
And for me, words of appreciation, not very high, as you'll see on the rankings that go through. Okay, what's your next question?
I like to be alone with my husband, or I wish sometimes my husband would take my car to be washed or do other acts of service without being asked.
Do you think that one's asking about the difference, the valuation between an acts of service love language?
No, it's definitely
versus the other.
Yes.
So all right, what's your answer?
I would say mine would probably be. Oh, this one's kind of hard.
Okay, while you're thinking about it, mine is I would like to spend more time alone with my wife, just the two of us, or I enjoy working around the house with my wife.
You want to stay home alone with your wife.
Absolutely.
You know why? Because you're a man. Let's just be honest. Men want to be alone with their wives, and women want their husbands to do stuff for them because they need help.
Okay, so that is exactly not what this test is going to do. So thanks for the cliche. I think you're prejudiced, Jennifer. No. You're a sexist, and now we've revealed it. We've ruined you permanently. Your reputation. Yeah, she's like, help me, Rick! Somebody, Brenda.
All I know is I've been watching you guys do this, and I'm like, man, I know I'm gonna have to do this with my wife.
We're gonna. So next episode we're gonna do this with Rick. We'll get Rick and his wife here, and then we'll have a client for the Palmer Law Group because he's going to need a divorce.
I don't think that.
That's the risk with this. By the way, simultaneously is not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to go to a quiet place.
And you do yours,
be
and
calm,
he does
and
his.
you do yours, and then we're
Well,
going to come
this
back
is
and grade it.
this is
and then you're
such
going
a
to get
great
the insight
thing.
about your partner.
So this is a great tool for a healthy marriage.
The reason why I have an envelope with these that I happen to have,
Uh-huh.
because I was like, we're going to need the love language. Because first off, we weren't planning to do this today.
Right.
I came up with this 10 minutes ago at the end of the last episode. You watched that episode, which I don't know, because we go out of order. That episode might be this one may come out first or whatever. No telling, because that's y'all's call.
They're going to go together now.
Yeah. So. And I happen to have these already printed out sitting right here because this is a tool that we use with our clients in order to help them to not have to get a divorce.
Right.
And this is a tool that marriage counselors use to take an unhealthy marriage into a healthy one. Because so many times marriages are not healthy simply because they don't understand the love language that each other's speaking. Because if you're trying to speak acts of service and you're having this argument one of them, their love language is words of affirmation. And if you haven't been giving them words of affirmation, they don't hear in their feels, they don't hear that you love them. And if your love language is acts of service, you're like, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. I swear to God, how can you not know that I love you? Look what I'm doing. I'm killing myself. It's because you're speaking acts of service and they don't receive acts of service as a love language. You're not telling them you love them. You're telling them in your language. You're speaking French, they're speaking Italian, and y'all ain't communicating. And all that you want to do is hear, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to do it in your own love language.
Right.
And this tool has saved countless marriages. And it's certainly helped mine. And this is one of many tools. But we're going to go through this, and because I have some insights that you're going to get from. And look, by me doing this, Jennifer's been with us for a matter of months. I've been doing this for years and saving marriages because I'm the guard at the gate. Mm-hmm. My general rule is thou shalt not pass. And if I can pull out a love language, because I'll recognize in somebody you're speaking acts of service, and their love language is gifts.
Yeah.
And you haven't been giving gifts. You're like, but my service is a gift. It's to you, but not to them. And They think that you don't care because their love language is gifts. Which, by the way, my love language is definitely not gifts. To me, people whose love language is gifts are I don't understand. And they seem superficial and shallow. I'm like, so by you getting a gift, that makes you feel, but it's their love language. Mm-hmm. It's not mine. It's not Summer's. Thank God. Summer and I are very, very similar in a lot of different things. But anyway, so what did you decide to answer?
Okay, so I picked, I wish sometime my husband would take my car to be washed or do other acts of service without being asked.
Okay, and are you a yes on, by the way, there may be some questions where you're not a yes on either one.
Yeah.
So
I was yes on both of them. I like to be alone with my husband too. So, I mean, that was a kind of a toss-up.
With me, sometimes, so mine are, I would like to spend more time alone with my wife, just two of us. I'm a yes, and that's my preference between the two. And then I enjoy working around the house with my wife. I'm a yes and a no about that.
I'm a no. I would be totally a no.
If we're both into the project and we're both present and we both want to do the project, I love working together with her. But if it's I'm making her do this project with me, I hate working with her, and we're both miserable with it, but we know we have to do it. If we're brute forcing that, that's a nightmare.
Right.
And sometimes we have to do that. And a lot of that over the marriage, with her working for the Palmer Law Group, she's the longest running employee of the Palmer Law Group besides me. And some of the things that happened, that almost destroyed our marriage.
I can totally imagine.
If you're going to work together with your spouse,
I work with mine.
Not as much though.
No, we're not.
Summer and I were you do work in the same physical building, and you interact a little bit, but he's like a department head and you're a department head.
Yeah. And
you're more co-workers as opposed to,
yeah.
I was Summer's direct supervisor, and
that's hard.
That's not good.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be Daniel's boss.
Yeah.
I really would.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. You know, there's been a couple times in this role, like, where he's tried to be a little more, like, domineering with me. I'm like, you're not my boss. Let's just get this straight, you know? So, like...
we almost got our first podcast spit take on that one. We were about to have to call the day off, or Jennifer was about to have to take a shower, because I almost drenched you in coffee just now. I think I'm a little bit choking on it too, actually.
I mean, we have had a couple little booms, but you know, but for the most part, like, we're really good together. I mean, we have a really good balance, and like, I respect what he does a lot. Like, he has a hard job, and if it's done anything for me, working with him now has made me have a much better understanding and a much better appreciation of what he does. Yeah. Because, you know, it always became a tit for tat in our marriage. Like, I would be like, you don't understand, I work so hard, I'm so tired, and like, I'm up on my feet for 8 hours, 9 hours straight, and you know. And he's like, you don't understand, I'm mentally exhausted because I've had to use my brain for 8 hours, and you don't understand all the stuff I had to do.
Emotionally exhausted.
Exactly. And like, I really never understood that to the level I needed to understand it until I started working in the firm. And then I was like, wow, yeah, he's right. Like, and I've actually experienced it myself, where I'm like, wow, today has been mentally exhausting. So
our job, as opposed to restaurants, like restaurants, you're trying to have them have a good time, and you're having to deal and work with their emotions. This is exponential.
Oh yeah,
10 to 100 or 1,000 times more.
There's days,
literally.
And I recognize, like, right at the beginning of working for the firm, like, how tired I would get, like, after the day end. I was like, wow, I'm just really tired. Why do I feel so tired? And I was like, oh, it's because, you know, there's a lot of processing that you're having to do, and a lot of thinking.
Emotional processing is the most. Like the logistics of what we do with law. I mean, if once you're 5 years into that, the logistics of it are like, oh, I'm blah 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 blah.
Right.
I'm like, come on, like, it's about the case at that point. Like, you're not making, nobody's out chess playing you.
Right. Exactly.
It's all, it's checkers, or it's tic tac toe.
Yeah.
Once you learn tic tac toe, I assure you, I'll never lose a game of tic tac toe. There's a finite number of solutions. You know them all. And law is like maybe a little bit more than tic-tac-toe, but it's much closer to tic-tac-toe than is a chess game.
Right.
And even if it is a chess game, like, we become grandmasters. Like, it's not, and most people don't have the millions of dollars that it takes to have, like, the grandmaster versus the grandmaster. Like, it's depth versus herd, right? And if you've put in the funding so that they can do the preparation. Like, for example, in depth versus herd, you're saying, like, every question that they're asking is all pre-planned out, and they have a reference to a deposition where the witness has already answered that. So they give a different answer. They go, okay, well, let's turn to page 307 of your deposition. Right. And you said there something that contradicts, and they can impeach and right there. And it's not like, well, we didn't have time to go through, and we have to have a paralegal go, okay, tell me where, like, find, I know they just lied because I remember it from the deposition. So find me the page reference, but people didn't have the $10,000 to $20,000 worth of time that it takes to reference and prepare and plan all that stuff out. Like, it can be a $30,000 to $50,000 endeavor to prepare to where you have done that deposition and you have looked through the deposition and processed and gone, I'm going to ask this, and done that as your prep for the trial, and gone outline, and then cross-referenced exactly where in their deposition that they said that, and exactly when everybody else's deposition that contradicts or whatever, so that you can cross-examine that. That's a tremendous amount of preparation that's taken, and it's not a matter of attorney skill, it's a matter of client budget.
Right.
Can the client pay to do that? Because we can do that, and that makes us, we look great as attorneys to do that, but it's less of a function of us as an attorney as it is them as with their budget.
Well,
Because
thinking.
that Depp versus Heard case is costing millions.
Oh yeah. Well, they should have done one of these then. and they might have.
Among other things.
They might have found out they were oil and vinegar, and they didn't need to be together.
Well, they are. And if you, the psychologist that did the psychic val on Amber, I think one of their love languages is words of affirmation, and they're like to the extent that they're addicted to it. And it seems very accurate, the borderline personality disorder diagnosis, when you're going through and I think that testimony was very powerful. As we're filming this, I've watched every day up to day, I want to say through day 8, and I'm maybe halfway through day 9. And I think today is probably like day 11 on the trial, or yesterday was like probably 10, and I haven't watched yesterday, and I'm halfway through the day before. But it's a very interesting trial, and interesting to see how that comes out. But in the meantime, you ready for question number 3?
Oh yes.
All right.
Okay. I would love for my husband to bring me a special gift, no occasion needed, or I enjoy long trips with my husband. This was a very easy one for me. I enjoy long trips with my husband.
Mine is receiving special gifts from my wife makes me happy. I wish she would do it more. Or one of my favorite things is traveling with my wife. Okay. One of my favorite things is traveling with my wife. If I had to rate these on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being yes, absolutely, and 1 being no, definitely not, I am a 10 on traveling with my wife. I am a -10 on receiving gifts. In fact, I put an X on this. I think an X should be a -1 about those type of things, as opposed to like not, because when we rate this, you're going to add up. Like if you circled this, and like they have a key of like this is the words of affirmation, they're going to add up all the words of affirmation, and the ones that you answered or that we put the check mark for, we're going to give a 1 to, and then we're on the ones that we put an X on, we're going to give a -1. So on this one, on that, I put an X because I am uncomfortable and unhappy. I want her to not give me gifts.
Yeah.
It disappoints me. It makes me feel awkward. I disappreciate, if that's a word, receiving gifts. I never want to receive gifts. I hate receiving gifts. I don't like receiving gifts.
I get
and
it.
The worst part is that I have to I have to lie, and I have to fake. I hate lying, and I hate feigning fake any kind of appreciation. So even in I'm trying not to lie. I'm going, thank you so much. Like I'm using words to where I don't have to say, do you like it? And like, I appreciate this. This is so nice of you, right? I appreciate that it is so nice of you.
Gifts
but I don't appreciate receiving the gift.
The
like I don't want the gift. It makes me very uncomfortable. I only want things that I've earned, or like even like Brenda bought me a thing of coffee. Like it was cool to get coffee, but like, can I pay you for it? Right?
Yes.
Right? You know. Yes? Okay, I'll give you $15 or whatever it was. So, or whatever it is. It's just, I don't, like, it's just, it's hard for me to even explain. It's like I understand it and still kind of don't understand it and have a hard time explaining it, even though I'm trying to. And I'm decently good at explaining a lot of things, but it's just, it's weird. Because, being inside my own box, you can't see what's written on the outside of your own box. So to explain things about me is weird, which is one helpful thing about this quiz, which I'm letting this quiz explain us. But I was clearly traveling with my wife, check mark, circled between the 2, and an X on C. All right, question number 4.
I would feel really loved if my husband did the laundry. I like it when my husband touches me. My husband does laundry a lot, so I feel like I would like my husband to touch me. So, yeah.
Come on, now touch her, Daniel. Can't you see that she is not afraid?
Oh my gosh.
What was that promise that you made?
Oh my gosh.
We're telling you what she said. You know that song? Anybody? Too soon? It's like the Doors.
You better hope he doesn't watch this one. He's going to be mad at both of you.
Well, no, I think that's good news to him. I bet Daniel's love language, I bet one of them is touch.
Okay. So what was yours?
Mine was, I wish my wife would touch me more.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked that one and I gave it a check. And then I gave an X to, I would like my wife to run errands or put gas in my car. Like acts of I'm quality time and acts of service. I know it. And
Okay.
I'll just prove, so there's a thing in law school, right? It's called IRAC, not like the country. It's an acronym, IRAC. Is it issue, rule, application, conclusion? Yeah, IRAC. Is that Iraq? Like the country? IRA.
I think Iraq's with a Q.
Now I can't spell Iraq. No. So IRAC, IRAC.
Okay.
Issue, rule, application, conclusion. And there's another one called CREAC, which is you start with the conclusion. Conclusion, rule, application, issue, conclusion, something like that. But it's always basically is, do you tell them the conclusion first and then you go through the analysis, or do you go through the analysis and then make the conclusion? So we're going to do CREAC. I'm telling you what mine are because I know it's quality time and touch is what mine's going to be. So let's see if that proves out. All right, question number 5.
I would like my husband to put his arms around me sometimes when we are in public, or I wish my husband would bring me gifts when he travels. I would go E, the first one.
Mine for sure is I picked I wish my wife would sometimes put her arm around me when we are with others. I mean, last night I spent the whole night with my arm around her, which was fine for me. But otherwise, like I like when she's like 2 arms around me.
Right.
And we hold hands in public a lot, and we're both good with that. Yeah. And I like that. To me, I just feel awesome when we hold hands. I like holding hands with her like whenever.
Right.
So, touch, acts of service.
All right. So next one is, I wish my husband was more enthusiastic about getting out and going places, or I like to hold my husband's hand. I would say, oh, it's hard.
I'm circling them both. I don't care. That's a check mark on both of those.
Yeah, I like them both.
I like to hold my wife's. If I had to pick, can I hold my wife's hand or can I go places with my wife? I'm like, can I go to the grocery store and hold my wife's hand?
Yeah,
that is.
I know.
Why do you have to pick?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's why. And this question is probably the question that triggered me to go, wait, no, I'm going to grade this differently.
Right.
Because I think you get better and more information when you grade it the way that I want to grade it now.
Yeah.
Although I could see some people like going too far. No, I like that. Like you can kind of swing the pendulum both ways. So I like doing both, and then seeing what each one tells you.
Right.
All right, 7.
I feel loved when my husband gives me gifts, or I know he loves me, but I want to hear my husband say it. I would say hear him say it.
Yep. So mine is, I value the gifts my wife gives me. Like, I'm not going to exit because I do value,
right.
but I'm not going to also like check it or what. I'm just going to let it be neutral.
I mean,
I'm
taking
the other one.
Yeah, I do feel loved when he gives me gifts. Like, it is nice. He puts a lot of thought into it. So yeah, that's almost like both for me.
Oh, okay.
Just
mine,
because, he does do a lot of thought when he does it.
Mine on I would like to hear my wife say the actual words, I love you, more often. Yep, no problem. She can say that all the time. Like, I'm a check, and that's my circle between the two. All right, next one.
I like for my husband to sit close to me, and when I'm all dressed up, I wish my husband would compliment me. I mean, he does compliment me, so I'd say I like for my husband to sit close to me.
I'm a both on that one too. Mine is, I wish my wife would sit close to me more often, or I feel loved when my wife tells me you look good. So I guess I'm good on words of affirmation too.
Yeah, perfect. Spending time with my husband makes me happy, or I wish my husband would give me more small gifts that still mean something. Spending time with my husband.
I wish my wife and I could spend more time together. That's my suggestion. I'm an X on even the smallest gift from my wife is important to me.
So we get it. No gifts for Dana.
The smallest gift from my wife could not make any less of a difference to my life or whatever. Like, and some things like, hey, I got you some raspberries from the grocery store. Like, oh, okay, thanks. And I've moved on. Like,
right.
Like that's okay. Like picking things like but that's more like working cooperatively as a team together on something that we need. But it's not like, that's actually more words of affirmation. It's not that she got that for me. It's that she told me, and that's a cooperation thing. Like even that gift thing to me communicates through the channel of words of affirmation. All right, number 10.
I would like to hear my husband say he's proud of me. I wish my husband would help me clean up without being told. I would say husband saying he's proud of me means more to me.
So on this one, it's interesting the husband and wife difference on this one, because the first part is, I would love if my wife would say, I'm proud of you, which that is really similar. And that's my selection between the two. But the next one is when my wife cooks a nice meal for me, I feel very loved. I do like that and appreciate that, but it's not that important to me. And Summer and I have kind of this thing where it's, if you cook, then the other cleans, and vice versa.
Right.
Although I think I noticed that if I cook, I tend to clean more, because when I cook, I tend to clean
while you go.
While I go,
and
I have this set of knives. Maybe we can get a picture of those knives or something and put up there. But I have a set of these global knives, which there was a chef in one of the restaurants, Jeroboam, that I worked at in 2001 to 3, and one of the chefs had one of these knives. And I thought, it was the coolest knife. And so when we got married, like I wanted, like that's like, you know how like you get gifts and you do the registry. I was like, I want one of those knives. That's like the thing that I wanted. Like that's it. Like, gifts, not big. So I got one there, and then for Christmas, like the following year, the entire family chipped in and got me another one. Like that was my one gift for that Christmas, and I was kind of like okay with that, because I was like,
I was going to ask you, how are you with that with Christmas?
Like it makes me want to avoid having family members. Like it makes me not want to be close to my family members, because if I get too close, then they're going to feel like I belong on the Christmas list, and I don't want anything for Christmas. Like I don't think I've gotten anything for Christmas for years, actually, and I haven't noticed. I'm like thinking about it now, going, I have no idea what I've gotten for Christmas like for the past like several years. It's like, but I do remember like early in our marriage, like they all chipped in and got me this one knife, and then one year they chipped in and got me a custom shirt from Keith Warshawski at Premier Clothiers. If you want awesome custom clothes, go to Keith Warshawski at Premier Clothiers. No question. PremierClothiers.com. And like they got me like one shirt. It was like $120, I think, or something for that particular. It was a great shirt. I still have it. Love that shirt. But I'll be careful though, because you get one custom thing and you're going to be like, nothing fits me right. This is like, what is this? Like you become on this different level, and then you like get everything made, but it lasts. It's worth it. I had like these, before I got my first shirt, I had just gone to Kohl's and got like 30 shirts on super sale with coupons stacked and everything. Like they were like $6 to $8, some of them $4 a shirt. And as soon as I put on that shirt by Keith, I never wore any of those shirts, and I gave them all away.
I get
Christmas
that.
gifts,
I get
yeah.
that.
And like in the past few years, like I can't think of. It's either I've blocked it. I've learned how to block that out because I'm so uncomfortable with it that I like it. It almost creates a trauma response in me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. But here's the thing. Like if people watching the podcast sent gifts in, I think I would be okay with that. Because to me, that's a form of compensation and appreciation. Thank you for doing the podcast. I'm contributing to the podcast.
Well, like if a vendor sends you something.
Yeah, I'm cool with any of that, right?
Yeah. Because
that's like, I've exchanged something rather than just my existence.
Right.
Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's, I don't want to feel indebted. Like I like giving, I like paying forward. I like giving first. Right. And then if you're giving something from that, but then I'm like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Saying you're okay being a corporate shill.
A corporate shill. Is that what the audience is thinking? Or is it just Rick?
I just thought it sounded funny.
That was funny. All right, number 11.
All right, so no matter what we do, I love doing things with my husband, or I would like to hear more supportive words from my husband.
All right. So
I am both on that.
I'm giving that a half of a yes. I'm like half a certain. So it's not a no matter what we do with Summer because we work together, and there are certain things that if we do that, oh wait, we're PG, right? I don't want the guy, Rick, I don't want you to have to edit out some like, forget that. You know, CeeLo Green had a clean version of Forget You, and then there was a not forget version. Yeah. So it's not a no matter what we do, but almost. But it's law firm. There's certain things that I really don't like doing with the law firm because it's a bad dynamic. Because and we like we've gone through so many difficult things with it, and we've learned how to deal with it. But there are unpleasant things that happen with the law firm that are and me having to make a decision that it's just there are things that because her comfort tolerances and my comfort tolerances are very different in business and in risk and different things. And so we've learned how to separate those two. And if I go into her world and mess up because like there's things that we've designated, like for example, you and I have a similar dynamic of we've determined that I default to your decisions. I get because of the nature of it, I get a veto on decisions if necessary. And there are times where time does not give me the privilege of explaining to you to where you'll understand and agree with me, and I just have to make a decision, and we have to go with it. Like if it's in the field, then we do it. And there are times where I'm going to be wrong, and you would have been better, and that's unpleasant type of things. Of like, and it's a learning experience for both of us, and we get better the next time that happens. But there are things like that happen, and when that happens, it's not a no matter what I do. I love doing things with my wife. I don't love doing those things, but outside of that stuff, right? I love doing anything with Summer. I always invite her to do everything with me. I don't like if it's her dates with the girl, they go to tea with the girls. I'm like, I'll go. Like all the other guys are like, no, like let's go do this and go watch football or do whatever. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to spend time with my wife. And like I have one friend that almost is not my friend anymore because he's like, hey, we want to do a guys thing or we want to do this or whatever. And I'm like, can I bring Summer? Like, I want to bring my wife to guys' nights. I'm like, but she's like, she fits in with the guys. Like, she's not really a girly girl. Like, she fits in as much. Like, I mean, her interests, we were introduced through eHarmony, and we need to do an episode on that, about eHarmony and how we were introduced, right? In fact, eHarmony. So that will be for a next episode, and maybe we'll roll right into that today. But her interests were sports, fishing, like if you list all the guys' stuff.
She likes outdoor stuff.
She likes outdoor stuff. And me, I'm like, I like indoors. I like the symphony, arts, music, museums, like fine art. I thought NASCAR was ridiculous. I would go watch sports, but didn't care, still don't. And she mostly doesn't, like we would go and watch, like we would go to SMU basketball games or like Mavs games and things. And I think we maybe went to some Stars games, stuff like that. And we go to now we'll go to Allen Americans hockey. We love going to that, but Allen is kind of like our local minor league team, and they do really well. So that's a lot of fun. But we didn't have, like Summer and I would never met in real life if it wasn't for being introduced to eHarmony, but our values are perfectly matched. Right. And, but our interests weren't.
Well, I think makes to me, it makes a good marriage. I mean, it's so funny because Daniel and me have very similar values. Like we're on the same page about everything value-wise, but we're very different when it comes to humor and different things. Like he likes Star Wars. I know some Star Wars.
You know enough about Star Wars to be really funny. Like, we recently asked her, who was Luke Skywalker's mentor? And she goes, Han Solo.
No, honestly, what?
This is why I want to run cameras for everything, because if you catch that happening, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny because Daniel wants to say I've never seen Star Wars, but I have.
And
seen
that's
Star
what's so
Wars.
mind-boggling is that you like,
It's just one of those things. You're either into certain things or you're not, kind of thing. And like, I grew up with my brothers watching Star Wars. I sat in front of the TV and saw it as a little bitty kid, so I remember it. What I remember is the scenes of the freaking stormtroopers shooting. That's what I remember. That's the part of it.
So do you know when the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, or when the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many? Okay, so she's not a Star Trek fan either.
No.
Did you catch that?
No,
This is why we need the producer cam, so that somebody knows what I'm talking about.
But if you want me to quote Steel Magnolias, I can quote you all day long.
Oh, let's do some Steel Magnolia quotes, because I totally know those. I don't even know who's in that movie.
You don't even know who's in Steel. Oh my
No, is it Brad Pitt?
No, it's Julia Roberts. It's Sally Field, Dolly Parton.
Okay, I could be talked into watching that.
It's actually
It's a good movie.
it's a great movie.
Really?
It's great. It's basically
Really?
the movie starts off
It's
where
not a chick flick?
Oh, very much chicken.
yeah, but
Well, Summer and I
it's
watch chick
so
flicks.
funny and it's so sad, and even gets funnier again at the end. It's just one
But
of those.
Brad Pitt's not in it?
Brad Pitt's not in it.
What's that one that Brad Pitt's in with a horse that kind of made him famous in the career?
I don't know. I've never been a big Brad Pitt fan.
Is that it?
I remember like him and Tom Cruise as the vampires.
Oh no, that was way later. They were both like already.
I was
married.
a huge Tom Cruise fan. Like
I'm
if
still
you're
a Tom
if
Cruise
we're
fan.
gonna reference, I think
I was never. I
Maverick
wasn't.
and Goose.
Yeah, I think I was. I didn't really become a big Tom Cruise fan until like Mission Impossible, like 5 probably.
Oh man.
The, like recent ones, or maybe it was 3 when Legends of the Fall.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
maybe the one where he was mountain climbing, I respected that, but I don't think I became a fan until I'm like, I think I really admired him when he broke his ankle and you saw it like crunch up and then he still got up and ran off on it. I was like, all right, that was just like my first week of being married to Summer. We went and played volleyball, and I did that with an ankle. I didn't break it as bad as he did, but I like bad messed it up and kept playing volleyball for like the next half hour.
Because you were trying to impress her?
I was like, new wife, like, no, I'm not going down like that. And then I'm on crutches for the next 2 weeks, and I'm on a cane for the next 6. Like, so that was
Not
really
smart.
I was like, well, she stays with me through this,
Yeah.
So, all right, back to it.
Number 12. I wish my husband would not only say nice things to me, but do nice things for me. I love to hug my husband. Love to hug my husband. I'm recognizing I like these things, but I'm recognizing I need to be a little more affectionate.
Daniel, you're welcome. This whole podcast is worth it.
No,
Daniel, and this is why we do what we do.
this whole
You're
podcast is
welcome.
making me uncomfortable.
I knew it would.
Yes, it does. It's totally out of my comfort zone.
So on mine, so which one did you pick?
I love to hug my husband.
Okay. This one's an interesting thing. Little things my wife does for me mean more than things she says. Not really. I think words of affirmation are more important than acts of service, right? And so that one I can pick not just on that kind of technicality, but then the next one, my wife and I need to hug more. I mean, yeah, we hug a lot, but I would say if what we do now, I would rank that at about a 40%, and I'd love to go to 100 or 120%.
Right.
Like I would love to, I would stand and hug her for a half an hour, and she just doesn't have the patience for it or whatever. She's like, I got to move to the next thing I'm doing. Like one thing I will give Summer a lot of credit for is she is not lazy, and she does a lot. She is constantly doing stuff. Like, she's very active. She's not on the couch eating bonbons and doing nothing. Like, she does, and she's constantly doing stuff. And like to like, I have to be like because she's like thinking and doing the next thing. Sometimes I'm like, nope, you're not going anywhere. And it starts getting funny, like when I do that, and I'm like, no, like whatever, and I'm like, no, I'm in control, and it's not like domineering. It's cute. It's humorous and funny. And I start trying to crack her up, just because I think one of the things she likes about me, and here's the words of affirmation that I like the most from Summer is, Palmer, you're funny. Like, you're so funny, Palmer. Like that, I'm like, oh, she melts me with that.
Yeah.
So that's the one I picked, and I didn't X. At first I X 12, but then I scratched out the X. I'm just going to leave it as neutral.
Okay.
All right. So you 13.
All right. I wish my husband would praise me more often, or I wish my husband would give me gifts that are more thoughtful and personal. I'd say praise me more often.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
I
think that's important for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're somebody that likes gifts, I think it's important that you're given praise.
I think one of the best things in going through this quiz is this is sort of a checklist of remind you what you should do. And hey, here are things that help you have a healthier marriage. Well,
and we do a marriage class on Wednesdays, and it's funny, a lot of the stuff is kind of in there. We talk about, there's like a 16-week program, and there's different things for everything. I mean, it's not even like there's like emotional intimacy, sexual intimacies in there, but there's also like communication. There is forgiveness. And we use this thing called stay in your circle. So you have, this circle here and another circle here. And it's like, this is the wife, this is the husband. And, you have to stay in your circle and don't cross over. So if you're in an argument and you're finding yourself getting into each other's circle, you need to stop what you're doing and re-enter back into your circle and self-recognize what you're doing wrong in this particular situation. Same thing with the husband. The husband needs to re-enter their circle and do the exact same thing. Because if you continue to go into each other's circle, that argument is just going to continue to fester and continue to go, and it's never going to stop. So that's been some tips that we've learned. And it's funny is like, I've thought about that, like more so than I ever had before, and
marriage takes work.
Yes.
You gotta work. You have to do these things intentionally. You can't just think that you're gonna just rudderlessly guide through life.
And marriage is not about just how much you love somebody and how much you are attracted to that person or whatever, that brought you together. Marriage isn't just that. It is work.
It's a series of intentional decisions that you make. You have to do things purposefully.
And you have to work towards it and work on it. And you have to self-recognize when you're doing something wrong. You have to be a person that can go, you know what, I got to change this. You have to be able to listen to your partner and understand exactly what their needs are from you, and be willing and accepting of what they need from you. As long as it's like in the realm of the right thing, and don't ever be in a situation where your partner's asking you to do something that isn't right. If it's not right.
You have to have boundaries.
Yeah, have those boundaries.
And there's a really good book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud, and there's a version of it for marriage, Boundaries in Marriage. Excellent book. I highly recommend that. And we'll put a link, and maybe we can get an affiliate link and make 8 cents on if you guys buy that book. So click on that, and we'll go to Amazon.
Yeah. And if you need a marriage group to go to, Lake Point Church does Re-Engage, which is a couples marriage group.
There's a lot of churches, synagogues, and different places out there, or even in non-secular, or what's that? Mosques, or any, marriage counseling, marriage programs, anything to work on marriage. And if you go to healthymarriage.com, we are compiling, we're in the very beginning stages of that, where we're compiling lists of resources there. And so it would help the podcast and help out our missions that we're on to help people to have a healthy marriage.
Right.
Go to healthymarriage.com, put your email address in, help us stay in touch with you, and look for the resources that are there. And anytime you click through those resources, if you're going to go there anyway, click through our resources, and we make it not a lot per click, but those clicks add up over time. So we really appreciate that when y'all do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about this? So we're on which question?
14.
So if you want to see 14 and on, then we'll see you in the next episode of
like
the
our
Lawyer
page.
Dana Podcast. Like, subscribe, click our links. Let us help you out and help us out, and we'll see you in the next episode.
And figure out what our love language is.
Yeah, it's coming up. Although I told them mine, but we're going to figure out yours.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.